lately, the narratives whip around from extreme to extreme.
It doesn't surprise me, but I don't pay much attention to it either. So it's just that's part of it.
How about player emotions between games?
Players generally get over games pretty quickly. I mean, you see it for what it is. It's usually the next day you're now in assessment mode, and you're watching the tape and you're figuring out what you can do better, and the emotions settle down. But post game, you're always either after a playoff game, you're always either exuberant or bummed, and then you just move on.
How do you guys get back to what we were doing in game 1?
I think we just we didn't have a different game plan in game 2. We basically had the exact same game plan, but they played a lot better and sharper. We had 7 turnovers in the first quarter. We let them off the hook early. I thought some early turnovers gave Ariza some transition points. Second quarter, we broke down with our coverages and gave Tucker a couple of open threes, and so it wasn't so much game planning, although there's some things that we will tweak, but mostly the team that brings the force and the energy and the desperation has the advantage, and I thought we had that edge in game 1 and they had that edge in game 2.
What are the turnovers, why the lack of focus sort of indicate to you about the team's readiness for such an important game?
Well, I don't know that it's necessarily our team. I think it's sort of every team. I'm an NBA fan. I was a Laker fan growing up, and I remember the Memorial Day massacre. 148 to 114, I believe. You can check on it. I'm pretty sure that was the score. And the next day, the narrative was there's going to be a blowout, and the Lakers came back and won game 2. And apparently, Pat Riley lit into them and challenged them, and it's just human nature. When you get to this level of basketball, great teams in every round. 2 teams going head-to-head. One team wins the first game. You better believe the second team, the team that lost, is going to be upset and bring more energy and more desire. It's human nature to let your guard down a little bit. The way it manifests itself with us is through turnovers, and that was a big problem in game 2.
Do you think it's a challenge managing your bench rotation? I mean,
Excuse me?
You're on your bench, inexperienced, a lot of experience with the centers and the youth and everything. I'm just thinking back to your first time around here, your bench was like a coach's dream, really. I mean, it was such more established. I just wonder if it's a little bit more challenging this time.
Well, I think one of the reasons it's more challenging is because of the way Houston plays. They play so small and they spread you out. So it nullifies several guys who you ordinarily would be able to play. And then Patrick McCaw being out takes us down a wing. But this is the playoffs. Every series brings a different challenge, and different guys off the bench are going to have a chance to make an impact. And I got no problem with how we have to approach this with our bench, mixing and matching. It's all part of it.
Steve, every postseason for the last 7 years, Kevin Durant has averaged between 28.5 and 30 points. What type of mental fortitude and just mental strength does it take to have that type of consistency over and over and over again throughout the playoffs?
Well, the first thing it takes is talent. I mean, the guy's so gifted. He's going to score no matter what the defense does. But the second thing, what I've noticed with KD in my 2 years coaching him is it's a different level of focus and intensity from him come playoff time. And he's locked in the playoffs. He's locked in. He wants to win. He's competing. And when he's locked in like that, he like most players, he plays better. And he's been fantastic throughout the playoffs.
What is that different level of focus and consistency from your perspective?
Just being locked in. You can see the focus. You can see the energy.
Steph, they've obviously kind of targeted Steph when you guys are on defense. In your 4 years here, how has he sort of evolved as a defensive player?
I thought he was a good defender. The first year we were here, he was a good defender. He's always been an excellent defender in terms of playing the passing lanes, using his quick hands, getting, being disruptive, getting steals and that kind of stuff. It's a little different series just because they're targeting him so much. We've seen it before. I mean, we saw it with Cleveland with LeBron and Kyrie, And Steph has said himself that's the obvious thing to do because the other four guys are all, 6'7", 6'8", long arms. So we're used to that. Steph's used to that, and that's how the game is going to be played. And we've got to adapt a little bit better.
Does his size affect him more on defense, as you kind of just suggested, than it does
Than on offense? Yeah, for sure.
How hard is it to come back from an injury right into the playoff game as opposed to
Yeah, I think
regular
that's
season?
an underrated dynamic to this. I think Steph's healthy. He's moving fine, but this is more rhythm than anything. And you come back from 6 weeks in the regular season, chances are you're going to have a game where nobody's focused, and the other team's playing their 4th and 5 nights, and the defense isn't that tough, and you make a bunch of threes and you just feel good. But playoffs is, the analogy I would use would be to baseball. Come back in the playoffs and you're facing the other team's best pitching night after night in the World Series or playoff game. You're not going to get that one freebie where they have to, call up the guy from the minors and he's much more hittable. So it's harder to adapt in the playoffs. But I feel really good about where Steph is and our ability to help him and help free him up more for the next game.
We've seen some shooters in situations like this, they'll just take more and more shots to try to get into a rhythm. How important is it to stay in routine, not to do anything differently? And what were you like as a shooter when you were trying
I want Steph shooting every time he's open. But we got to do a little better job getting him open, and we will. We've got some thoughts on that front, but.
What about in between games, though?
Oh,
Does
no.
the routine change at all?
No. Steph has the same routine every single day. Game day, off days. And it reminds me of all the great shooters I've ever been around. Steve Nash, Reggie Miller, Mark Price. There's a routine. There's a standard routine that they go through that keeps them going through the ups and downs that they inevitably are going to face.